You are sitting at a table with people who love you. They are laughing at something. The good kind of laughing, the kind that fills a room, and you're watching it through glass. You smile at the right moments. You laugh half a second after everyone else, because you are reading the room instead of living in it. You say the right words, but somewhere behind your eyes, a hand reaches out for the feeling, the warmth, the belonging, the thing this moment is supposed to give you, and comes back empty. And you think, what is wrong with me? You are not sad. That is the strange part. If you were sad, at least you would be something. You are not anything. There is a specific kind of nothing that has been following you for a long time now. It is not a storm. Storms you could name. Storms pass. This is a flatness, a gray, a quiet you keep calling peace, because you have never been given a better word for it. People will tell you the opposite of joy is pain. They are wrong. Pain still means the wiring works. The real opposite of joy is this: the dimmer, the hum, the glass. And the worst thing about the glass is that from the inside, it is almost invisible. You can spend years pressed against it and call it a window. You have never had a name for it. So you did the thing people always do with unnamed things. You blamed yourself for it. You called it being tired. You called it being chill, being low-key, being an adult who has finally stopped expecting too much. You decided this is simply what life feels like once the shine wears off. That everyone is faking the highlight reel, and you are just the honest one who stopped pretending. But that is not honesty. That is a symptom, and it is not nothing, and it is not normal, and it has a name. Psychologists call it emotional blunting, numbing, a turning down of the inner volume until the loud feelings and the bright ones all blur into the same distant sound, far away, underwater, behind the glass. And here's the part almost no one tells you, the part that changes everything once you see it. You did not catch this like a cold. You were not born this way. You built it, brick by brick, switch by switch, on purpose, to survive something you could not survive any other way. The numbness is not the wound. Sit with that. The numbness is the bandage, and you have been wearing it so long you forgot there was ever a cut underneath. So let me say the quiet thing you have feared about yourself, the sentence you would never say out loud, and then let me take it apart, piece by piece, until it cannot hurt you anymore. You are afraid you are broken. You are afraid you are one of those people who simply cannot love, cannot feel, cannot connect, that something essential was left out of you at the factory. It is not true. Here is what is true. You are a person who learned, somewhere, that feeling was dangerous, and who got extraordinarily good at not doing it. Therapists have a name for the engine underneath all of it. They call it experiential avoidance, the mind's relentless attempt to control, escape, or shut off its own inner experience. It sounds clinical. It feels like survival, because that is precisely what it was. At some point in your life, the volume of what you were feeling rose past what a person your age in your situation with your support could possibly hold. So you reached for the only switch a frightened human can find in the dark. You did not turn down the world. You turned down yourself, and it worked. That is the tragedy hidden in it. It worked. The numbness kept you alive. The only problem is that the danger ended years ago, and your hand is still on the dial. To understand the glass, you have to walk back into the room where it was first installed, and it is rarely one dramatic thing. Sometimes it is a house where big feelings got you punished, where crying made it worse, where needing something made you a burden, where the safest child was the silent one. So you learn to keep the whole storm behind your teeth and call it being good. Sometimes it is a single night. That was simply too much for a small nervous system to carry. And something deep in you, older than thought, reached up and cut the power. And there is a real mechanism for this. This is not a metaphor. This is your biology. Every nervous system has a range it can handle. Dan Siegel calls it the window of tolerance. Inside the window, you can feel things and still stay present. But when fear or pain shoves you past the edge of that window, the body stops trying to fight and starts trying to disappear. Stephen Porges gave the deepest version of it a name: the dorsal state. Not fight, not flight, freeze. The animal that stops running and goes limp because, if it cannot escape the predator, it can at least stop feeling the teeth. That is what happened to you. You were a child holding a dimmer switch you were never supposed to need this young. And no one ever came to take your hand off it. So it became a habit, then a reflex, then a personality. then a life. And because it kept you safe, no one around you ever called it a problem. They called you mature, independent, easy to have around. The strong one who never falls apart, the calm one in the chaos, the kid who never needed much. You were rewarded, praised, even loved for the exact thing that was quietly erasing you. And a child who gets praised for not needing anything learns the deepest, most damaging lesson there is that the way to be safe, the way to be loved is to feel less. So you got smaller, quieter, a little further behind the glass every year, and the whole time everyone was clapping. Here is the lie at the very center of it, the lie you have organized your entire life around without ever once saying it aloud. You believed you could turn down only the bad. You believed there was a way to mute the fear, the grief, the shame, the want, and leave everything good standing, untouched, waiting for you. Brené Brown spent more than a decade studying exactly this. Thousands of stories, and she said it as plainly as it has ever been said. We cannot selectively numb emotion. Read that again, slowly, because your whole strategy depends on it being false. There is no dial for sadness alone. There is no setting that silences the dread but spares the delight. It is one switch, one volume knob, for all of it. Joy and grief run through the same wire. They always have. So the night you reached down to quiet the unbearable thing, you did not just quiet the unbearable thing. You turned down the entire room, every channel, every color. And you have been standing in your own life ever since, squinting at people who seem so lit up over so little, wondering what is wrong with you, when nothing is wrong with you at all. You just turned the lights off years ago and forgot you were the one holding the switch. Watch what numbness takes, because it never takes loudly. It takes the way frost takes a window from the edges overnight while you sleep. It takes the birthday where everyone is singing your name and you are already, quietly, thinking about the dishes. It takes the promotion you chased for 10 years and the strange flat Tuesday afternoon when it finally arrived and felt like nothing at all. It takes the hand of the person who loves you resting on your back, a hand you can feel on your skin perfectly, and cannot feel anywhere deeper than that. Doctors have a word for this fading, anhedonia, the slow draining of pleasure out of the things that used to glow. And here's why it is so cruel. No one weeps at the funeral of their own joy, because the numbness will not let them. There is no funeral, there is no moment. It just lowers the lights, one room at a time, so gently, so patiently, that you mistake the growing dark for evening, for getting older, for being realistic. And then one ordinary day you look up inside a house you have lived in your whole life, and you cannot remember the last time a single room in it was bright. And this is why you have spent years losing a war you did not even know you were in, because numbness almost never walks in announcing itself as numbness. It walks in wearing other faces, and you have been swinging at every one of them. First face. It looks like having no discipline. You cannot make yourself move. You cannot make yourself start. So you call yourself lazy, and you read another article about motivation, but there is nothing inside pulling you toward anything, and that is not a discipline problem. Wanting is a feeling too. You turned it down with all the rest, and you cannot drive a car you unplugged. Second face. It looks like overthinking, because thinking is the single best hiding place from feeling that the human mind has ever invented. A mind that will not go quiet is very often a heart that was ordered to. You analyze the moment from 6 feet above it so that you never, ever have to stand inside it. Third face. It looks like being burnt out, detached, low maintenance, easygoing, fine. The most dangerous word in the language, fine. 4 faces. 100 faces. One frozen thing underneath all of them. And there is a fourth face, the one that hides in the brightest light of all. Distraction. The endless scroll. The show you finished and cannot remember. The way your hand reaches for your phone in the exact half second before a real feeling has a chance to surface. That is not a bad habit. That is anesthesia. You are not addicted to the screen. You are running from the silence, because the silence is the one room where the feeling still lives. Every single face points the same direction, away from the inside. Laziness, overthinking, burnout, distraction, 4 masks, one frozen thing, all of them screaming run. So you have been buying solutions to laziness and procrastination and stress for years, treating the smoke again and again, while the actual fire has never once been on the shelf you were shopping from. Now here's the part your numbness has spent your whole life keeping you from hearing. So let me say it slowly, and let me say it once, Clearly, the reason this is so dangerous is not that it hurts. It is that it doesn't. Pain comes with an alarm attached. Pain interrupts your life, knocks things off the table, forces you toward help whether you want it or not. But numbness comes with nothing. No alarm, no crisis to circle on a calendar, no bottom to hit. And that is the whole trap. You can live an entire life behind the glass and call it staying calm. You can build a career you do not feel, inside a marriage you do not feel, raising children you love, and experience the way you experience weather through a sealed window. Present, aware, and somehow not there at all. And you can tell every person who asks, honestly, with a steady voice, that nothing is wrong. Because nothing is wrong. In the way you have learned to measure wrong, there is no blood. There is no scream. There is only frost. Taking the field one silent inch at a time, completely, patiently, and without ever once making you flinch. Pain, at least, is loud enough to save you. Numbness is the thing that takes your whole life without ever waking you up. So let me tell you what the glass is really costing. Because it is the opposite of what you have always believed. You thought the glass was keeping the pain out? It is not. It never was. The grief you refused to feel did not leave. When you turned it down, it just stopped moving and settled and went cold and heavy inside you, where it has been sitting all this time, paid for in interest you cannot see. And the wall you built to keep the hurt away from you is the exact same wall keeping every good thing away too. The people who love you are pressed against it right now, this minute. They reach for you across a dinner table, across a bed, across a lifetime, and their hand meets glass. They tell you they feel like they can never quite reach you, and you do not understand what they mean. Because from the inside, the glass is invisible. And then comes the cruelest part. The part numbness will fight you hardest to never ever see. One day you reach back for them. You finally want to feel them, and you find that you cannot. The wall does not open from your side either. Numbness was never protection from loss. Understand this and everything changes. Numbness is the loss. You traded the risk of being hurt for the guarantee of being gone. Think about who is standing on the other side of that glass right now. The friend who slowly stopped calling because reaching you started to feel like talking to a recording. The partner who once said you seem so far away and you honestly did not know what they meant. The child who will one day describe you gently, carefully, as someone who was hard to read. None of them ever met you. They met the wall you mistook for yourself. And the years do not pause politely while you stay frozen. They keep spending. Every flat birthday, every muffled victory, every I love you heard but could not feel. Each one is a quiet withdrawal from an account nobody warns you is running dry. So how do you come back from a place you cannot even feel that you're in? Not the way you're afraid of. You do not smash the glass and let 20 years of feeling flood in at once. That drowns a nervous system that froze for a reason, and it will send you running straight back to the switch. You thaw the way frostbite is supposed to thaw. Slowly, gently, on purpose, and warmer than you think you can stand. So you start small enough to survive it. 1. You name a single feeling a day, and on the days the only honest word you have is numb, you say numb out loud, because naming the dark is the first crack of light getting in. 2. You let one small thing matter without immediately managing it. The first warm sip of coffee. A song from when you were 17, the specific weight of someone leaning their head on your shoulder, and you do not look away from it. 3. When discomfort rises, you stop running for 10 more seconds than you usually would, and you let it simply be there without fixing it. That is what acceptance actually means in the research. Not enjoying the feeling, not approving of it, just finally, quietly, stopping the war against your own inside. You're not trying to feel everything. You could not survive everything. You are turning the dimmer up one single notch and learning, slowly, that you can stand the light. And 4, you let one person in on the secret. Not the whole flood, just one sentence to one safe human. I think I went numb a long time ago, and I'm trying to find my way back. Because numbness was built in isolation, in a room where feeling things around other people was the dangerous part. So it can only truly thaw the same way it first froze. In connection with someone who does not flinch. When the lights flicker on, you will not do this perfectly. That was never the assignment. You only have to do it a little warmer than you did yesterday. And you have to know this next part before you begin, or you will quit at the exact moment it starts to work. When feeling comes back, it does not come back as joy. It comes back as discomfort. The way a leg you have sat on too long does not wake up gently and gratefully. It wakes up burning, stinging, screaming pins and needles. And for one full second, you would trade almost anything to make it go numb again. That sting is not a relapse. That sting is the thaw. It is the proof, the actual physical proof, that the thing in you was only frozen, never dead. So when the sadness you have not let yourself feel in years finally arrives, and the tears come at something small and stupid, a commercial, a stranger's kindness, a song in a grocery store, and your first panic thought is that something has gone badly wrong with you, let me be the voice that gets there first. Nothing has gone wrong. Something has come back. The lights are coming on, room by room, after a very long dark, and the first thing any light ever shows you is everything you could not see while it was off. That is not the system failing. That is the system. Finally, after all these years working, so here, at the very end of it, is the thing your whole numb life has been quietly arguing against. You were never empty. You were never cold. You were never the broken one, the heartless one, the person who simply cannot feel. You were a frightened body that found a dimmer switch in the dark on the worst night of your life, and has been standing guard over it ever since, terrified of what the light might show. But listen, you are not in that room anymore. You already survived the thing you were numbing yourself to escape. It is over. You are here on the other side of it, still holding a switch you no longer need, and frozen things. Given warmth, given time, given the smallest act of mercy from the very person who froze them, frozen things thaw. They always do. If anything in this reached you behind the glass, even a flicker, even a sting, then do one small thing for the part of you that has been sitting in the dark. Tell me down in the comments the moment you first realized you had gone numb, because saying it is the first crack of light. And if you know someone living behind that same glass, send this to them. Sometimes the first warmth a frozen person ever feels is simply learning they were never the only one in the dark. This is crimpathy. The lights are still in there. They never went out. You only turned them down. And tonight, maybe you're finally allowed to reach over, in the dark, and turn them back up.